Okay, fine. So, a few things before we start our journey. So, one thing is that whatever I'll be discussing and will be explaining here, you can sit with a piece of, you can say, a few A4 sheets or a notebook, but no need to make notes hard and fast. You can just write down something in rough or something you can try out if I ask to try out in rough. Okay, but no need to take the notes which I'll be discussing here. Like I have this digital whiteboard, so whatever I'll be discussing, I have written it here. And at the end of the class, I'll be sharing the PDF version of this entire whiteboard. Okay, which will be looking something like, if I tell you, show you here, it will be looking something like this. Okay, so you can easily go through it later on. Fine. So no need to make notes. Just understand, pay focus or pay attention rather on getting the concepts and making your fundamentals clear. Feel free to ask doubts. Okay, don't think the others are saying they have understood, so you will also just go with the flow. Okay, so just even if it seems to be a ridiculous question, okay, don't shy away from it. Okay, that's more. In fact, those questions never know. You never know. They may be the most conceptual questions. Okay, so it is this time that you can afford to get humiliated and embarrassed rather than in the exam halls. Okay, so feel free to express and ask questions and doubts. Okay, so we'll be moving and maintaining very smooth pace here, and I'll not leave anything in the fundamentals. Okay, and let me know when if I ask you whether the concept is clear or not. Be frank and straightforward. Okay, fine. On this note,
Yes, sir.
let us start. And of course, I don't know your names individually as of now. Hopefully, in one or two classes, I'll be getting familiar with you guys. So, for now, we'll be just starting. See, so this is the first class. So, what we are going to do discuss today is some fundamentals before we directly dive into what is known as Java. Okay, so we are just going to get into some fundamentals and become familiar with some of the terms that you will be using again and again. Okay, so before we dive into Java programming as such directly, let us get our fundamentals very clear. Okay, so to start with, we have seen, or you must have, we are very commonly using certain terms. We'll be exploring those terms in depth today. Okay, so let us start with, because our subject is computers, so let us start with the very definition of this device. Computer, what do we mean by computer? Okay, what do you think is the meaning of the computer? You can give it a try, anyone?
So, me.
Please, go ahead.
So a computer is a device that we use for our daily use, our daily work, such as calculation or in getting in touch with people, communication, etc.
Yeah, that's good. Good, precisely. You have almost summed it all. Anyone with anything to add here? Okay, fine. I think then most of you are either agreeing with him or you are not having that idea, right? And by the way, what is your name?
Mirror.
Okay, Merul. Good. So, like my friend said, Merul, actually, computers are devices. Okay, to be more precise, they are electronic devices. Okay, so what do we mean by electronic devices? They are
They
the
run on electricity.
huh, they run on electricity and they have some circuitry built inside it. Some chips are there. Okay, so there are many electronic devices like your handheld devices, even the phones, the tablets that you are using, even the digital watches. Those are the electronic devices. Okay, they may run directly on electricity or in some, or they may be using some power generation source like even the batteries and the cells, and they have some inbuilt circuitry, right? So, computer being one of those devices also runs on electricity or even on power supplies and have some built-in chips and circuitry. Fine. But now the question arises, why do we use computer in the very first place? Okay. So like Merrill said, there are few reasons for that. First of all, computer helps us solve our problem. Okay, and those problems can be of varied nature. That means they can be of diverse natures, they can be of many types. So the primary application is the computer helps us solve our problems easily. Not only it solves our problem, it solves our problems easily, efficiently, in less time and with good precision. Okay, so we understand it solves us easily and efficiently and in less time. But what do we mean by good precision? That means its accuracy is also very good. Okay, we humans, let's say if I ask you to give you 100 sums. Okay, so you may make silly mistakes, and at times you may miss out on the degree of correctness of your answer. But computers, if you give computers 100 questions, okay, there is in fact no chance that it is going to make mistake in those 100 sums. So their accuracy and the degree of precision or degree of getting the answers correct is very very good as compared to humans. So that is one of the aspects that we use computer for. So to summarize, we can say that computer is an electronic device or the device that is built with using electronic circuits and chips and runs on some form of power like electricity or even the batteries. And we use it because, or we use the computer devices because they help us solve our problems easily, efficiently, in very less time, and with good degree of precision or correctness. Okay, so that is the primary reason why we use our problems. Now, coming to the problems, what can be the problems that computers help us solve? There are countless number of types in which computers help us solve our problems. Problems can be as simple as preparing a PowerPoint this presentation using PowerPoint. That is one of the problems that a computer helps us solve by helping us prepare good slides and presentable slides. Then you may need to generate some notice, okay, some text documents. You may even need computer to solve your entertainment related problems. Entertainment related problems can be like your videos, your audios, you're watching movies, you're playing games. All such problems, had computer not been there, you would not have been able to entertain yourself. So entertainment related problems, educational related problems, okay, even preparing presentation slides, whatever, there are countless ways. Even it helps us in weather forecasting, it helps us even in many banking solutions. Okay, so everywhere nowadays computers are handling a lot of many different types of help us solve many different types of and diverse types of problems. So that is the, you can say, arena or the domain, or and which includes or which contains the countless numbers or the countless types of problems that can be handled and managed by computers, and thus they help us reach a particular solution in relatively very less time and with good degree of precision. So that is why we are using computer as a device, because of its usefulness. So I hope the concept, what is computer, that is it is an electronic device, and what are its uses, that is its primary uses. It helps us solve our problems of different types, including education related, your gaming entertainment related, your banking related, your finance related, running your schools, everything, any and everything, in relatively less time and with good degree of precision. Is this definition clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that seems we are good till now. Okay. Now, moving ahead. So we have discussed computer as a device and that it helps us solve our problems. Now coming to the second part. Fine, we have computer, we have our problem with us. How does then computer help us solve our problems? Okay, first we have seen that what is computer and what is its use. Now we'll come to the part as to how computer helps us solve our problem. Before we understand how computer helps us solve our problem, let us first discuss what is computer made up of, or what are the main components of the computer. Okay, so before we see how computer helps us solve our problems, let us discuss what are the main main components or the main parts of the computer that forms the computer together, and then we will see how they help us solve our problems. Okay, so we'll start with that discussion. So anyone will like to attempt What are the main parts and or the computer components of a computer?
For me.
Sure, go ahead.
So there are a lot of components, internal and external.
Okay.
So some of the internal components include the motherboard, the processor,
Mm-hmm.
the CPU, the screen,
Okay.
the speakers,
Okay. Okay.
and
Fine.
also your touchpad and webcam.
Okay. Yes. Very good. Excellent. So yes, more or less 95% you have explained precisely in a very to a very good extent. So good. We'll also expect others to give it an attempt. Don't be afraid of what will other things if I am going wrong. No, you should have a very thick skin when it comes to learning something. Don't feel embarrassed. Okay, fine. So let us say, like my dear friend said, what do we have? What computer is made up of? Okay, let's say computer and its components. So basically, computer is made up of three components. Without these three components, you cannot have a computer running. Okay, rather there will be no computer if any one of these three components are missing. In any computer of this world, these three components will always be there. What are those? I'll be just creating in the form of blocks so that it is easy for you to visualize.
The motherboard.
Okay, motherboard is one of the things, but I'll be using
Mhm.
I'll be using generic terms. Okay, you have mentioned most of them, but I'll be using more general terms for them. That will include all. So these are the three. There are three basic components inside the computer. So computer components. I'll write the heading. Okay. So first one is input devices, or you can say input devices. Second is your processor, which is commonly known as CPU, central processing unit, and the third is output devices. Okay, anyone here will like to give me an example of input devices? Merul, other than Merul, yes. Input is used for providing some information to the computer. What are the things that you use for providing something or communicating with the computers? Acha, give me examples. Name different things that you know, parts of the computer that you know. At least we can come up with that.
Okay. Can I answer?
Let others try. Then you can, of course.
Okay.
So we have keyboard, mouse.
Keyboard, mouse, of course, good. So keyboards, mouse, printers, scanners, okay, and even you can say your joysticks if you are playing games, even your touchpad, mouse. We have already seen speakers. So these are the things, certain things, which are present in the computer. Now we will categorize them. Okay, so let us see what are those. So input devices are something which is used to feed in data to the computer, which receives some value or some suggestion from outside into the computer. So the example will include, you have your keyboard. Keyboard is used to provide or type data and which goes inside the computer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is input. Again, your mouse. Using clicks and double clicks, you are suggesting something to the computer. Right click, left click. So that is also input. Okay. Output devices we can see are, of course, where we see the results. Where do we see the results?
So monitor.
Monitor, which is also known as screen.
Screen, yes sir.
Monitor, your computer screens, they are the same. Even people call it console. So if you come across this word, just understand that it is talking about the thing that they are talking about is your computer screen. Okay.
No, but at times console also means like a gaming console, right?
Yes, that is correct. But in general terms, if you leave that thing, in computers, At times you will find using, that's why you don't see this console more often, because at times they are used for some other terminologies also, but at some places in your books you will find they will mention console. So most probably they will be talking about the computer screen only.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then your second thing is speakers. They give something out of the computer, like your voices,
The
some
sound,
sounds. Yes.
Our external ports.
Yeah, ports are ports will come to ports later. They are not either of them. Okay, they are just like the doors. Okay,
Okay.
either data will go through the ports or will come out of the ports. They are just like the doors of the houses. Okay, so
sir, yeah.
they are the doors of your computer.
So printers.
Printers, of course. What are printers? They are output devices, because some data or the image stored in your computer will be printed and you will be receiving a copy of it. Okay, so
Yeah.
images will be printed out. So printers. What are scanners? Input or output devices?
Scanners will be input.
Yes, because it will be taking in the it will be capturing some image, and then that image will go inside your computer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so scanners are this your input devices. So there can be many. Even your the game when you play, the joysticks,
They are also input devices.
they are also input devices. Okay, because using the buttons you give some commands to the gaming software. Okay, so they are also the input devices. So okay, fine. These will be sufficient for our discussion. So now why we were discussing this? We were discussing in order to understand how computer helps us solve our problem. Now once we have understood that any computer in this world will have these three primary components, okay, working together. Okay, they are communicating with each other so that they can help you solve our problems. Now how they help you solve your problems. So what is the process? Listen to it step by step. Okay, so what happens exactly is, you have your computer, big box. This is your computer, which inside is made up of three things: your input devices, your CPU, which you call as processor, and your output devices. Together they are known as computer. Right? So this box will be containing these three major components. Okay. Output devices. So now let's say you have your computer. This box is your computer. Okay. Now what you do is, you have your problem which you need to solve. Let's say you want to prepare PowerPoint, you want to add two numbers and get the sum, you want to print the multiplication result of two numbers or division result of two numbers, anything. Problem can be anything. Okay, even if you want to play a game, that is your problem. So everything you will have to tell the computer. So that is your problem. So what we do is, we as humans, okay, forgive me for my drawing, I'm really pathetic at it. So let's say this is one user. Okay. Okay. So let's say the user has a problem, which and user needs help from the computer to solve the problem. So what will user do? User will provide the problem which user needs computer to solve, okay, to the computer. And in the computer, problem is received by whom? The input part, the input devices. Okay. So you state your problem using input devices like your keyboard. You type something, or your mouse, you click something. Okay. So you state your problem, you present your problem to the computer, okay, through input devices. This input device simply forwards the problem to the processor or the CPU. Processor is your CPU. It forwards. Okay, its role is complete then. So what is the purpose of input devices? Input devices receive your problem and forwards it to the processor. Good. Now, processor is also known as your processor of the computer, is also known as,
Brain of the computer.
exactly, good, known as the brain of the computer. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
that means the real logical part or the problem solving part is handled by your processor or
processor.
the CPU of the computer. So once the problem is received by CPU, that you had passed to the input devices and it forwarded it to the CPU. So once your problem is received from the input devices to the CPU, CPU will, being the brain of the computer, okay, will apply logic, will apply its own logic, its own thinking ability, will solve it, and then it will arrive at a solution. So once it applies the logic and arrives at a solution, it forwards the solution to
With the output.
output devices, and from here output devices you receive your answer. Is this process clear? That I'll just brief it out in just another 30 seconds. Being your user, you have your computer, you have your problem, you will state your problem to the computer, and the problem will be you stated to the computer by the user using one of the input devices or more than one of the input devices. Okay, the problem will be received by input devices. Input device will forward the problem to the brain of the computer known as the processor, which will apply its logic and will solve the problem and will arrive at a solution. This solution is forwarded by the processor after solving the problem to the output devices, and then the output devices communicate to you the answer. And this is how your problem gets solved in your computer. So is it clear to all? Let me know. Just have 5-10 seconds, analyze it in your mind peacefully, and then give me the answer if it is you are comfortable with that.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So you can even type if you have problems. Sir, I can't see your screen. Avinash, can you see my screen now? Is he here? Okay, okay, fine. Good. So I hope this is clear. Now I will use a technical term for this. If I had used that technical term at the very beginning, you would have got confused. This term is commonly, you will come across in the books, this term is commonly referred to as, this entire process of solving problem by the computer is known as the above process discussed is known as IPO cycle. IPO cycle. What is IPO? Full form of IPO? It stands for
Input, process, output.
output cycle.
good. Input, process,
Output.
and output. Okay. Good. So this process of solving problem by the computer which it employs is known as IPO cycle. So till now you must have got the answer. So first we took up the definition of the computer itself, which is an electronic device. Why do we use computer? Because it helps us solve our problems, which are of many types, easily, efficiently, and in less time and with good precision. How does it help us solve our problem? It helps us solve our problem by employing a process known as IPO cycle. Okay, so it uses IPO cycle. I have just put on a figure here. You can see what is IPO cycle. I have just shown it using a figure. So input is received, forwarded to the computer. Computer also, these are certain internal parts of CPU. For now, you may just have a look at it. or else you can take this entire box as CPU. Okay, so input from these devices as your problem is forwarded to CPU, this whole middle part will solve the problem using its different parts, and then will arrive at a solution which it will forward to the output devices. So your problem is solved by the computer using IPO cycle. Okay, now if this is clear, we will see certain terminologies that we will be using in the computers. What are those terminologies? So to start with, the first terminology that we are going to see, we have already seen, is input devices. As a part of IPO cycle and as a part of the component of the computer, we have already seen what is input devices, which accepts your problems and forwards your problem to the CPU. So we are familiar with input devices. What are output devices? They receive the solution from the CPU and display to the user. So we have also seen this. We are also now familiar with processor. What is processor? It is the brain of the computer, also referred to as CPU. It is the main part of the computer which, after receiving input, your problem as an input from input devices, okay, it will apply its logic, it will perform some operations and will give out the solutions to the output devices. So that component is known as processor or the CPU. So we have already seen these three things. Now let us talk about some other things. Okay, we must have heard at some point of time or the other, and we are often, quite often using these terms, data and information.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what can you say? Is there a difference between these two terms, or are they same?
So there's difference.
Difference. Please enlighten me.
Okay, so data is something that is stored in a place,
Okay.
and information is something that a user gives out to be stored as data.
Okay, so both are stored somewhere.
No, information is given. Information is converted to data.
Information is converted to data.
Data.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
I think data is what the user gives into the computer, and information is what the computer gives back to the user.
Okay, so what's your name? Janvi.
Janvi.
Okay, Janvi. Excellent. That is the correct and perfect answer. Okay. So yes, Meryl, nonetheless, very good attempt. Okay. So, like she said, the problem that we present to the computer is known as data. So your problem that you present to the input devices. So this problem that you are stating to the computer is nothing but data. Okay, and this problem is received by CPU, which processes it and gives the solution to the output devices, and this output device, the solution that it gives, okay, this solution is what is information. Okay, so now I'll just dive a bit more into it. How do you exactly define them? Okay, so if somebody asks you what is data, you will say data is a collection of random and unorganized facts and figures. Okay, it is just like a puzzle. It is just like a puzzle. Which needs to be arranged. Puzzles are unarranged, right? Like you must have seen some puzzles
That's
in
right.
pieces, and yes, you just put it in places and you see some figures and some faces, right? Okay, so it's just like puzzle which has to be arranged. Puzzle which needs to be arranged. Okay. Fine. So, and because it is a puzzle, it is not easily, or it is a problem for a user. Okay, so user, you need your puzzle to be solved, then only it will convey something. So it data does not bear any meaning to the user because it is a puzzle for the user. So it is a problem for the user. It does not bear much meaning to the user and is hence a problem which user needs to solve. And how the user solves it? By presenting it to the computer. User needs to solve. Okay, tell me one thing.
Yes, sir.
So let's say I tell you, what is this?
4. 2 plus 2. 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
All of you agree with Merul? Yes, Janvi and others?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So all of you are convinced it is 4. Okay, if it is 4, tell me what is this? What is this?
I have to calculate.
You will have to calculate. So why did you say that? So is it not a puzzle for you? Merely by
Yeah.
looking, can you say the answer? No. But how did you say 4 here? It is also in the same format, right? Now I'll tell you the logic. The logic behind this is that from your very childhood, the very first thing that you learned was 2 plus 2. So your brain has sort of memorized it. When I see this, I will say 4. It is not 4. It is merely 2 plus 2. Okay. This is how computer sees it. So let me make it clear once again. If you write 2 plus 2, it is a problem for you. It is not solved. Unless and until you apply the logic of mathematical addition, you will not arrive at 4. So this is still a problem. Answer to this problem is 4. So this is your data. Okay. Data containing random facts and figures. What are those random facts and figures? 2 plus sign and 2. So these are random figures. You don't know. They are just coming together. Okay. But because your brain has tuned itself from your childhood only to perceive this as 4, you have said 4. Had this been 4, this logic been correct, you could have directly said the answer of this also. Okay.
Yeah.
But because your memory, your brain has just memorized it, therefore you are merely by looking at it, you say 4. No, it is not 4. It is a random puzzle having 3 random digits and some symbols. Okay. So it is not 4, it is 2 plus and 2 which are randomly present there, on which you will apply your brain, which is your processor, applies this logic of mathematical addition and arrives at the solution 4, which you speak out through your output device, mouth. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So now you got the concept, and now after this data has been organized and some logic has been so this merely these random facts and figures bear no meaning to you. You need to solve it. After solving, you will get one particular answer. That will be your answer, and that will be organized, and that will be your solution. That will be information. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is what is meant by data and information. So what we can say, what is data? A random collection of unorganized facts and figures, which is just like a puzzle and does not bear much meaning to the problem to the user, and hence it is a problem for the user which user needs to solve. Similarly, what is information? So information you can define in a very simple terms as it is organized data. Once your data has been organized, the randomness has been removed and it has been solved, it becomes organized and thus bears meaning to you. It is important to you, it is relevant to you. So therefore, organized data
is information.
Organized data which has relevance or meaning, or which has relevance for humans or user, because that is relevant to you, because that is your solution to the user, okay, is information. Now got the concept? Is it clear to all? Okay, others here, Karthi, Avinash and others. You can even type if you do not have microphones, so no problem. So hold me whenever you are stuck. Okay, fine. Now, so we are now comfortable with some of the basic concepts of computer. So till now we have seen what is a computer as a device, how do we define it, what is its use. We know its use as it solves us our problems efficiently, easily and in less time and with a very good degree of precision. How does it solve our problem? Using the process known as IPO cycle. Okay, then we have seen certain terminologies related to computer and its processing and its working. So data, now we are comfortable with input devices, output devices, processor, data, information. Now let us come to, you will come across certain terms known as humanware. What is humanware? They at times love to make things very complex. It's nothing but the user who is using the computer. They are often sometimes referred to as humanware. Okay, so I am telling you these things because you may come across when reading books. Okay, so you should be familiar. So humanware is nothing but the user of the computer. Now tell me, what is hardware and the software? We use it very frequently.
So can I tell?
Yeah, sure.
Hardware is the components of the computer that we can see and feel, whereas software is the components of the computer which we can't see and feel. For example, hardware example would be the keyboard, and software would be like the application that we have in a computer.
Correct. 100%
So
correct.
softwares are also the programs that help in the functioning of the hardware.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Hardware and software are interdependent.
Wait, okay. Fine, all of us are making attempts, so let's not criticize anyone. So,
Yeah.
so what actually that is also correct. Without software, you don't have relevance of hardware. Okay, and without hardware, there is no existence of software. So they should coexist. Okay. So, any part of the computer which you can touch and feel. Okay. Touch, see and feel, they are the hardwares of the computers.
Computer.
Okay, so what are hardwares? Hardwares are also known as, hardwares are tangible parts of the computer. Tangible means which you can touch and feel.
Okay.
So they are the tangible parts of the computer. What are softwares? They are intangible. They are intangible parts which you cannot touch. Okay. Softwares are intangible parts. Parts of the computer. Now, fine. So, it's just like, acha, can we, before we move forward, are we humans just like computers?
Yeah.
In what way?
In almost every way, like our eyes, ears, skin.
Okay, so okay, I got it. So can you classify humans also in these three components like computers, input devices,
Yeah.
output devices and CPU?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Input devices would be our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin.
So in short, all the sense organs are your input devices which receives data from the outside world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what will be your CPU?
Our brain,
Your brain, very good. And what is your output device?
our mouth, our heart.
Heart. Okay,
Yeah,
heartbeats
like,
also suggest
because we
sometimes.
absorb energy
There are
and
different body parts.
Different body parts are the hardwares, correct? And so what is the output device in particular?
mouth in
Mouth,
particular.
mouth, and also your gestures. You can count it as hardware, software. This output devices. At times you
Yeah.
suggest you are happy, you are sad. Your facial expressions, your gestures, they can also be taken as your output devices.
Output
The
devices.
movement of one hand and legs.
Yeah, waving and all. Yeah, correct. So they I'll just term them or include them under the gestures, right? And what is your CPU? Your
Brain.
brain, correct. Do we have softwares?
We could say so.
Okay, then
Our thoughts,
your thoughts. Okay, any other answer?
our emotions,
There are emotions and DNA is.
DNA is,
DNA you can see.
DNA is actually on a microscopic level you can see. Okay, so though very small, but they can be seen, and of course they will rather be a sort of hardware. Okay, so anything else from anyone? Others may also try, no problem, and no, do not hesitate. See, I'll tell you one thing. We are just like computers. You have established input, output, and processing parts. But I'll tell you the software that we have. Okay, tell me, what is the main software of your computer?
Main software would be the operating system.
Correct. Operating system. Without operating system, your computer won't start at all, right?
Yeah.
So operating systems are your main softwares which keeps the computer running. Acha, once operating system crashes, what will happen?
The entire computer crashes.
Crashes, sort of computer is dead.
Yeah.
So you will not be able to communicate with the computer.
Right.
And the computer also will not be able to communicate with
Right.
the
So computer
hardware.
won't start at all. It's sort of dead, right? So
Yeah.
what is the thing inside humans without which we are dead?
Our heart, our
Heart.
brain. Our heart, like, if there's no
But
blood
that thing,
in the
but
body,
that thing should be intangible.
that's our thoughts then.
Thoughts, or rather soul.
Okay, yeah, we could say so.
Yeah, that exactly.
I don't
The
I don't
souls.
believe in all that, that's it.
No. It's not about believing. Okay, it's just like souls of your. They are the intangible parts which generate your. See, you're going into that religious aspects and all. I'm not going into that. Souls are existing. Okay, where they are going and where they are coming from, I won't go into that. Okay, so souls are something which results in the generation of thoughts, your subconscious mind, and whatever your gestures. They control your body, right? So you can compare it with your what you say is operating system, right? So
Yeah.
we are just like computers. Rather, we humans have created computers just like us. Okay, now because we have now built that understanding, okay, so we'll go ahead and we will try to understand what are softwares. So softwares are intangible parts of the computer which you cannot touch, of course. Okay, so they control and coordinate our computer hardwares. Okay, fine. They control and coordinate our computer hardwares. Also, so how do they come into existence? They come into existence when developers write codes. Okay, so what are softwares? So they are the result of codes. Okay, so softwares can also be, other words for the softwares are codes that you write, then they are born. Okay, or other words that we use simultaneously are programs. Programs are nothing but the collection of codes. So collection of codes gives rise to softwares. Okay, so these three things we can say they are the one and the same. We'll be using them interchangeably, and they are what controls and keeps your computer and its different parts going. Okay, so So these are the different parts that these are the things which are intangible, the softwares which keeps your computers going. Fine. Now we are done with the basics. Now we will directly dive into what is Java and what we are going to learn. Okay, this was a very necessary part because though very small things we should know.
So,
Yes,
so do we classify programs as data or information?
programs as data or information. Programs are what you can say is they are sort of, you can say, neither data nor information. They are what makes your CPU functional. They are the logics of the CPU. Using those logics, your CPU arrive at the solution. So programs are something which belongs to CPU, which gives the CPU the ability to process and operate and arrive at the solution. So you can say they are the processing capability of the CPU. So they are neither data nor information. They receive data from on the part of CPU, okay, and then they process it using the logic of the program, and then they arrive at the solution and pass it to the computer. So they belong to CPU in particular, okay, and gives it the capability to analyze your problems. Okay,
Yes.
fine. So we have what we have discussed so far. We have discussed computer, which is an electronic device, and what is its use. Its use is to solve the problems. How does computer solves a problem? It solves a problem using the process known as IPO cycle, which we have just discussed, input, process and output cycle. We have also discussed what are the basic components of the computer. They are three: input, processor and output. We have also discussed below. Now terminologies, we know input devices, output devices, processor. We know the difference between data and information. The problem is the data and the solution that you receive is the information. We also know what is humanware. It is nothing but the user. Okay, and also we have seen what is hardware and software. So the part of the computer that you can touch and feel is known as the hardware. The part of the computer which is intangible but keeps the software running, the hardware running, and establishes coordination between the hardwares or the different parts of the computer. So they are those things which give life to the computer. One of the main softwares in the computer is the operating system, though there are many others. So other words for the software that we will be using every now and then will be the programs or the lines of codes.
Good.
Okay, good. So once we are done, now let us move forward. What is programming language? Okay, so and why do we need to learn them, or why do we need them, and why do we need to use them? Okay, just tell me one thing. Let's say there are two people. Okay, let's say there are two people. We are discussing about programming language.
So programming language help us to communicate with the computer better.
Very good. Not better, it helps us to communicate with the computer. Totally. Okay. So excellent. Programming languages. So what are these? I'll give you example. Let's say two people are there. Okay. This is person A and this is person B. Let's say this person A is from India, and let's say this person B is from Japan. Okay. And this, considering that this person A from India knows either English, let's say Kannada, or Hindi, one of these languages, and this person B from Japan knows only Japanese and can neither read nor understand or nor write any of these English, Kannada or Hindi. Now they come face to face. Person A knows I have some problem which person B can solve. Okay, person A goes to B. Now tell me one thing, will person A be able to present the problem to person B even if person A knows that person B can solve my problem?
No, he won't be able to.
He won't be able to. Why? Because they won't be able to communicate. And even if somehow person B figures out what is the problem, will the person be able to communicate back the solution to person A? No.
No, sir.
Right. In the same way, taking this analogy, taking this analogy, we can take this human as the user of the computer who has the problem. Okay, this is user, and the computer in front of us as the person B from Japan. We can also take it as a person. Now, in order to present our problem to the computer and so that it can give back the answer to us, okay, and let's say this is computer and this is solution by the computer. So person A, this user must be able to present the problem to the computer, okay, and the computer, after solving the problem and understanding the problem, must give back the solution which can be understood by the user. For that, in this case also, in order to coordinate, they should know one of the languages which is common to both, right? So either this person A should go and learn Japanese, or but this person, Japanese person, should go and learn English, Kannada or Hindi. Then only the communication can be established, right? So in the same way, in order to present your problem to the computer and communicate or talk to the computer and understand what computer is saying, you need a language, just like French, German, Italian, Spanish, okay, Hindi, English, Kannada, whatever. So you need a language which both can understand, so that you can present your problem and computer can help you out with that. And those languages, there are not only one, there are many. Those languages which help you communicate with the computer and present your problem and understand the solution given by the computer back, those languages are known as programming languages. Is it clear? What is the need of programming languages?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it acts as a medium of interaction between the human and the
Yes, sir.
computer. Okay, so considering that all of you are clear with what is programming language, now let us understand what is Java. So like I said, there are many languages which help you interact with computer, right?
Yeah.
So one of those languages is Java.
Java.
Okay, so now let us understand something about programming languages. So programming languages are must before you can use the computer, because computers can understand only programming languages. Okay, so you should learn. Computer knows them. So to start with, when in 60s, 50s and 60s and mid 60s and early 70s, when the first generation computers were created, they could only understand. See, programming language can broadly be classified into three types: high level languages, assembly languages, and low level languages. Okay, so what is high level language? We'll come to that later. So first we will start with the initial computers, the very first computers that humans designed. Okay, so the very first computers that human designed in early 60, you can say mid 60s and early 70s, which were known as first generation computers. Okay, they were using languages which were known as low level languages or machine languages. Okay, they are the languages which can directly be understood by the computer, and they yes, in the form of binary languages, in the form of zeros and ones. Okay, so but it was easy for the computer to understand, but it was very difficult for the humans to learn and then program computer using those languages. So early computers, the very first computers that were designed, were using a language known as low level languages and machine languages. Okay, so let's say if you have to print hello, you will write something like, let's say if you have to print hello using low level language, you will print something like to the computer like 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 something. Okay, 10 20, this sequence will be there, then computer will understand, okay, this is hello. Okay, if you miss out 1 0, or if you write 1 in place of 0 or 0 in place of 1, gone, your program will be mistake. So those programming languages were difficult for humans to understand and communicate and program to the computer, but were easy for the computer to understand, and that were very prone to making mistakes. Okay, because merely by missing out one digit or 1 0 or 1 or interchanging them, every instruction will go wrong. So they were very difficult to program. Early computers were very difficult to program. So with the passage of time, humans, okay, evolved, made some better computers, second generation computers towards, you can say, late 70s and early 80s. Okay, they came up with something known as second generation computers. those second generation computers, they had the capability of understanding somewhat human understandable language, which were using English words. Okay, so those languages which were which evolved, which were, they were not exactly in the form of zeros and ones, but they contained some English word. Let's say if you had to add 2 and 3, you will give instruction to the computers like add 2 comma 3. Okay, so now it was much.
HTML and QBasic.
No, they are not assembly languages. Okay, I'll come to that. Okay, so assembly languages you will learn in colleges. If you choose for computer science in your as your stream, or if you become computer engineers, you will learn about them. Okay, so they were sort of evolved languages, better than these. Okay, and they used some English words and English digits and alphabets. So they were relatively easier for the humans to program and you understand and program, and also they were acceptable by the computers. See, one thing you should know about computers: computers only understand low level languages till this date. So what happens is, even if you are writing your code in assembly language or high level languages, first they will be converted into machine level language. Okay, machine level language it will be converted into, and then computer will understand. So humans designed the later computers in such a way that they could write codes in somewhat human understandable language, and computers used to convert it into machine level language or low level language, and then it could process it and give you the output, and then you can get the solution. So with later further, when humans designed third generation and fourth generation computers that we are using these days, they are very powerful languages and can easily be understood by humans. Okay, and they are using more or less English sentences. Okay, even in other languages also they are available. So now they have become super human friendly. You can write very big codes in very small amount of time, and then once you write those codes in those languages, one of those languages, it is first converted into low level language by the computer, and then computer understands it and gives you output. So nowadays what we are using is known as high level language. So you can see now your programming language started with initial computers where we use low level languages. Then with later computers we use somewhat a better form of those languages, programming languages known as assembly languages, which was something middle level languages. They started using English words. Now what we are using is very powerful languages which are super human friendly, consisting more or less like English sentences. Okay, which with very small lines we can give many instructions to the computers, but those lines before being executed by the computer, they will be converted to machine languages. So nowadays the languages that we are using to program are not the low level languages or the assembly level languages, but we are using the very advanced form of programming languages known as high level languages. Okay, and Java is one of those high level languages. Now we have understood that programming languages can be of 3 types: low level language, which is understood by the computer; assembly level language, which somewhat lies between high level language and low level language with few English words; and high level language, which we are mostly using these days. Okay, so in mid 80s assembly level language was used, but nowadays we are using from 90 onwards we started using super human friendly languages known as high level languages. Further down, these high level languages can be categorized as 2 types: object oriented programming language and procedural programming language. Okay, now you don't need to understand as of now what is the meaning of this. Once we make a good improvement or progress in our Java, you will automatically understand the difference between these two. Okay, not today, I cannot explain, and don't try to explore it, you will be confusing yourself. So it's my humble request, do not go and explore on internet. You will not understand anything. Okay, but later, of course, we will be understanding what is this. So high level languages that we are using today are of 2 types: either object oriented languages or procedural language. Java is high level language which is of type object oriented, and you can see Java stands here. Not only Java, you have other object oriented languages like C++, C sharp, it is not called C hash or hashtag, it is called C sharp, SHARP, Python, PHP, JavaScript, Ruby, Perl, Objective-C, Draft, Swift, Scala. There are many high-level languages which you can use to code computers. But in our curriculum, we have Java. So what is Java? Java is a programming language using which you can present your problem to the computer, input device of the computer. Computer will take it, and because it understands Java language, it will use its CPU to arrive at the solution, will forward it out to the solution to the output device. From the output device, you will receive the solution. So the language that we use to talk to the computer is, or that language that is used in the IPO cycle will be, that we are going to use will be Java, which is high level language and of type object oriented, and Java is here. So now, is it clear what is Java and where it stands? Let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So hope all of you are clear with this so far.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Good. See, I have just built the fundamentals. I thought of covering a bit more, but what I'll do is I'll stop here today. Let's not rush into things. Okay, slowly and steadily we'll forward make progress. So I'll just conclude with one thing. In order to understand, in order to write or present your problems using Java language, let's say you know Java language and computer understands Java language, computer should be able to and you should be able to present your program in the form of Java language. So in order to help computer learn Java language and so that you can code in Java language, by default your computer does not understand Java language. You will have to teach computer Java language. And how do you do that? By installing the Java software, which will provide computer the capability to understand Java language. So how do you how will you communicate computer using Java language? By downloading certain software and getting your system ready so that you, from the next class onwards maybe, we can start programming in Java. So how will you install that Java software so that computer can understand your problem that you have presented in Java language and help you solve those problems? You install this software. There are two softwares that you need to install. We'll be discussing what are those two softwares. So don't go and explore, just perform these installation steps. And those installation steps are there in this link that I have provided. Follow the steps, install the software, and get ready with these two software installation by following the steps mentioned here. From this point onward, we will start our next class, that is tomorrow at the same time, and we'll communicate.
So, but I thought BlueJ is enough for Java, because even in school we use only BlueJ for coding.
See, I'll discuss about it. Many people, in fact, most of the students who have passed even class 10, they think BlueJ is Java. No, BlueJ is not Java. I'll talk about BlueJ and I'll help you understand what is BlueJ, but tomorrow. So though I'll be sharing this entire file today, I will highly recommend, okay, do not, and when I say do not, please do not proceed reading from this part. After this programming language chart, do not go and further read and try to understand. What you should only do is, you should come here, this part, now how to get your system computer ready for Java program execution. Only here, install, click on this link, get your system ready with the Java software installed, and then tomorrow I'll discuss what is BlueJ and is BlueJ the only way of running Java. This part I will explain tomorrow so that you won't have any question. What is BlueJ? What does it do? Why do we need BlueJ? Why books mention BlueJ? Okay. So we'll discuss further on tomorrow. So do not try to understand this. Only you should revise up to this point. Okay. From the beginning. Okay. And only after this, skip this middle part. Okay. This thing. And then come directly and execute this. Just click on this link and try to execute the software on your system and get ready. Okay. So we'll wrap up the class today. I'll share the recordings shortly in some time along with this PDF of this software. And yes, be very upfront. Let me stop the recording for now. Just give me a minute.